What's going on, guys? It's Justice here, and it has been a very long time since I last made a RuneScape 3 video, but I have been playing a bit of RuneScape 3 in anticipation of the new combat mastery achievements that are going to be released towards the end of February. And I just want to add quickly before I delve into the video, you can see on screen me obtaining the 20-year veteran cape. So yeah, that means my account is over 20 years old. Returned to the game, decided to go and check it out. I remember returning to the game 5 years ago and getting the 15-year cape. I think I do prefer the subtlety to the back of the grey cape, and also the fiery particle effect I think does look better on the 15-year cape. But the 20-year cape with the X's looks fine. It feels like a trimmed cape variant, but it's nice to be able to show off the loyalty to the game and the developers. And yeah, it's just something quite special about claiming that cape. It felt really good coming back to the game and claiming that. Yeah. The concept of combat achievements really excites me. Again, it's very similar. Old school RuneScape have already done it. It's extremely successful over there. They have certain quality of life rewards, and then they have some cosmetic rewards that you attach to items in that game because they do not have a transmog system. On that point, really quickly, I think the auras, I'm not too keen on it. I think the game has gone or leaned a bit too much into heavy particleization, or yeah, it's just lots of heavy particles in this game. Not too sure on the auras, but the icon, the badge icon next to your name, if you hit master or GM status, that's pretty cool. So overall, combat achievements, really excited for them, and that's enticed me back into the game, because a lot of the time, if you play Mainscape, your focus ends up being on the highest GP per hour, because it's very hard to justify going to a older boss fight or another boss fight that just does not have the rewards. No matter how fun the fight is, you can have your fun for about, I don't know, 5 to 10 hours, let's say, on that fight. But then if you're not getting your return on investment as well with GP, that helps drive and progress your character on the game, it's very difficult to go and fight those bosses. You end up just staying in like the top 3, top 5 bosses if you can kill those bosses. So like right now, I am killing Sanctum hard mode with Chewy, and that's another reason why I'm returning to the game. A lot of my kind of friends I've kind of made over the years of gaming, a lot of them still kind of gravitate towards checking out RuneScape with big updates like this. Chewy's been playing on and off, as well as a good mate Jay. Maybe even like a good mate Icy Lemons might be coming back as well. So there's quite a few people playing. I know Wazzy is a really big RuneScape consistent player at the moment on both old school and RS3. And yeah, it's really cool. This sort of update is going to bring kind of that PVM community together. It's going to give us a lot of content to delve into. Like I said, instead of just going for like GP per hour or going for collection logs, there's something else enticing you to go and kill other boss fights, doing them in different ways, in quirky ways, whether that's like perfect kills or the unorthodox challenges where you've got to make a mistake on purpose and then somehow survive and get through the kill. Yeah, it's really cool. And obviously you've got your speed timers. They're the ones I'm most concerned about, because that will require like your gear being upgraded, whereas a lot of the others, as long as you can, if you're like pretty strong on mechanics and maybe teamwork, then you can probably get around doing a lot of the other challenges. So we'll just see how it goes, but that is what's enticing me back into the game. I have no idea what the challenges are, so I'm not going to go into that just yet, but hopefully I find time to edit videos when they are released, and I will tell you kind of maybe what my goal is when I actually review them and see, kind of compare that against where my skill level's at and how much time I can actually put into the game, and just see maybe which tier I could go for. I have no idea at this point in time, but it is exciting content, so that's why I have returned to check out the game. But of course, I returned back to the game, and I really forgot how to play. You know, the amount of keybinds and layers to combat on this game is absolutely insane. It's definitely one of the most complex MMORPGs that I've played in terms of how convoluted the systems are. You're having to do about 4 or 5, you're having to manage like 4 to 5 different layers of gameplay and systems whilst doing combat. Yeah, which takes a lot of muscle memory. It takes a lot of building up muscle memory to do that, and I haven't played in a very long time, so yeah, I'm extremely washed. I'm an absolute washed up PVMer, but you know, it's been kind of fun. I did I'm pretty determined. I decided to put aside, like, across about 3 days, did about 7 or 8 hours just literally hitting a target dummy. I've started off with focusing on my mage build again, with the new tier 95 dual wield weapons that have came out as part of the Sanctum dungeon, which I'll get into later, and decided to focus on the mage build. Literally spent like 7 to 8 hours just changing and readjusting all of my keybinds. It was so painful just trying to build the muscle memory back in, hitting a target dummy. Finally, after 7 or 8 hours, I found keybinds that felt comfortable. So that was a really big hurdle I had to get over after playing lots of other MMORPGs over the past like 2 to 5 years. World of Warcraft is extremely intuitive, and I can just jump on that game and I can just play. I have built up a lot of muscle memory on that game too, and keybinds, but there's definitely less layers to the combat. So you can just focus on kind of combination abilities, or just, yeah, less keybinds, and the movement is a lot more fluid. It's more reactive, which I'll touch on now. So I was messaging in my Discord channel to a few moderators and a few guys, whoever was listening, and yeah, I'm going to look back at this now and what I said. So one of the biggest learning curves, I said this about a week ago. About a week ago when I figured it all out again. So the biggest learning curve for me coming back to RuneScape, it's not a game that you can react to. Fairly similar on old school as well, but you need to know what mechanic is coming up and be prepared to move ahead of time and get used to the delayed movement, get used to the tick system. On top of that, there are no clear timers or weak auras like on World of Warcraft, so you have to really learn the fight, come up with your own names for those mechanics. You know, you have to count attacks. You have to figure out, like on Sanctum, where, you know, you're praying mage and then he does one big attack and then he'll go and start hitting you with range. Once you get into that cycle, you can preemptively change your prayer. But at the start, like, you have no idea that's the case, so you're just kind of trying to react and you're missing all your prayer switches and getting absolutely shrugged, which is why I ended up taking a yak when I first went there for the first like kill. So is those things where you have to really get over. There are some visual cues now, and Sanctum has got an energy bar now under their health, which charges up, and that's like a visual cue. But that is quite difficult to focus on when you're learning a boss. Now I'm definitely focusing on that a lot more. I can see the charge up of the next mechanic, and eventually it does become muscle memory. But RuneScape requires that. It requires a lot more build-up of muscle memory versus some other games. Yeah, you can kind of, it has like weak auras or timers. It's a bit easier to kind of understand what's about to happen. And the movement is just more responsive. Because the movement isn't responsive on RuneScape, you have to already know what's going to happen. So then it becomes about feeling. It becomes a bit of a dance. I think Final Fantasy XIV is a bit more of a dance as well. Overall, I think RuneScape probably does have too many layers to combat, which absolutely will put new players off. Josh Strife Hayes, really famous YouTuber, made a video about RS3, about 100 hours of gameplay, and reviewed it. He made a really good point that stuck with me about how RuneScape 3, and I know it's just referred to as RuneScape now, is trying to kind of keep hold of all of what made the original RuneScape whilst adding these like modern layers to it. And yes, it creates a unique experience, but they don't quite gel together. So you end up with all of these different layers to combat. Now, of course, once you learn it and you get into the rhythm of the muscle memory again, yes, it is satisfying when you can nail when you realize you're doing more damage and you're speeding up the kill and you're bypassing or skipping some mechanics, or you're just making the fight like a dance. Yes, it's satisfying, but they probably could strip it back a little bit. I think, for example, like ranged has now got out of hand once again with like a million switches. Yeah, Giants are always battling against that. Some of these things aren't intended, it just happens because of how the players like react and use and manipulate the systems to work in that way to maximize how much damage you're outputting, and that's cool. But yeah, there are a lot of layers to it which I think would put off a new player. It's probably a very difficult game to get your mates into, is probably a simple way of saying it. World of Warcraft, pros and cons, but it does have a big reset every season, and you could just ask your mate to come and like train with you or start with you again because you're all at a level playing field. But I don't know. RuneScape's definitely unique, it's very popular, and it is a fantastic game still. And that's the end of today's video. I do have 3 weeks worth of progression and footage captured, and I've commentated over it. I just need to finish editing it. So that should be out in my channel in the next few days as well. So yeah, please check that out. Lots of questing, boss fights, playing the game with Chewie, lots of progression. I would like to continue sharing my RuneScape progress with you and my thoughts on game updates whilst I'm back playing. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments below. It will depend on whether I can find the time to edit the videos though. I need to balance my time between working full time, my family, and my hobbies such as just playing the game and just lots of different games with friends. So I'll try my best to get some more vids out. I'd like to stream again as well. I usually take quite a chill approach to that. And it's really fun to interact with the community, but be mindful, any YouTube progress videos will always be about 3 weeks behind what I'm doing live in game. But thank you very much guys for watching today's video. If you did like it, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe if you're completely brand new listening here and you were just interested in hearing about a returning player and what they thought about the game in its current state. I know I didn't delve loads into that, I just thought this would make a good video in its own right. And leave the rest for the pros video, which will be like 20+ minutes long. So yeah, let me know what you guys think to the game with its current content updates and any planned updates for 2025. Feel free to share any kind of speculation or inside knowledge you've got about the combat achievements in the comment section as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.